Hey, what's up, everybody? The game is almost over. There's about 2 minutes left. I didn't want to subject myself to the final 2 minutes. I saw Cousins get sacked for what might have been at least the fifth time by Smith, and I said, okay, well, if you're not gonna chip on that side or help out in any way, what are we even doing? I mean, I wanted to be nonplussed and kind of save my reaction or my immediate thoughts about the first half at the half game show, but it's really simple. I'm not going to take a ton of your guys' time because I've said a lot of these things almost every single episode of this show. This coaching staff is awful. You can, blame Cousins or I don't know, the line. But it's extremely disheartening to see them yet again in a Monday Night Football game in a big spot against a good opponent completely go away from what they're good at, on offense especially. I mean, it got to the point where what Booger McFarland said, well, they could at least try a screen. Granted, the next play was a screen, and it did not work. And I get Dalvin Cook didn't play, and Madison didn't play. But you can't just... Every single game they've lost since the Bears game, which is 3 now, all have the same root issue. It's they go away from what works when they beat up on bad teams, play action, rollouts, screens, and they do things that they're not good at. Just 3-step drop stuff to 3 receivers, or the Vikings ran the least amount of 11 personnel stuff in the entire NFL. Except for if it's a nationally televised game, they decide to just go all away from all the heavy personnel stuff that they've been doing. And I get it's harder to do play action stuff when you don't have the defense respecting Boone like they might respect Cook, and they might not bite. But you're still, from just a comfort level, just run it anyway. They might be on Thielen or Diggs, but I give those receivers better odds in that scenario than this. Because it's never worked, and it hasn't worked for them once. I don't know why they keep going back to it. I do not get it. Especially when you have Reef playing as poorly as he had. At least you get Cousins rolling out away from the pressure or around the pressure so he doesn't feel so flighty. But this awful play calling. I mean, that's not to say that the offensive line did not get just housed. They did. They got completely destroyed. 5 sacks to 1 guy not named Khalil Mack. I mean, what? Ugh. And then you don't even put anybody over there in the second half to maybe slow him down a little bit. It wasn't only disheartening for tonight, and I've seen some tweets already of people saying, well, the good news is this game didn't really matter. I mean, it did. It mattered because they could have still had a chance to change their seeding in the postseason. A good team on Monday Night Football, built their confidence. They could have not been completely owned and lost all their confidence, which is what happened. So maybe it didn't end up mattering in the future if we knew that, okay, well, they were going to... The Packers are going to beat the Lions, so it doesn't matter. But it does matter. I mean, if we can't beat this Packers team at home, I mean, look up, Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing great. We had all those turnovers in the first half. We did nothing with them. All the momentum they handed us, we did nothing with it. These coaches have no confidence in their players on offense. And I don't even want to, it's not Zimmer, because Zimmer doesn't even, he's hands off, which is an indictment in and of itself. Head coach should be a little more involved than he is, obviously, but Stefanski, and I can't fathom it's Kubiak, because he's had success everywhere he's gone, but he's never been a coach for the Vikings. And the Vikings organization, for whatever reason, is just good at making mediocrity out of everything. It doesn't matter what decade it is. It doesn't matter what owner it is. It doesn't matter what coaching staff it is. It doesn't matter what roster it is. It's the same common thing. I don't know why. I never will. If I could figure it out, that would be my gift to mankind. I would sacrifice myself right now and say, hey, this is why. The original Met Stadium was buried on an old Bloomington pirate graveyard or something. I don't know. It's just, man. I mean, the Packers had one receiver. They didn't do anything in the run game until the longest run of the season, which just sounds so Vikings. It's got to be diabetic. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to shit on the defense because they did their end of it, and they were without Barr, they were without Kendricks. They played well. They did, and they were on the field for the entire damn game. So there's nothing about that. They were. Rodgers was off tempo to start the game. They did. I mean, they gifted. If you would have told me there would have been 3, almost 4 takeaways in the first half of this game, I would have been like golden. My 17-point prediction. We didn't even score 17 points, let alone go up. Oh God, what a. Just when I get confident in this team and I think that the coaches have learned from their mistakes, they go right back to it. So what is the point? Do we really have confidence that this Vikings team is going to win 3 on the road with this coaching staff? No. They're going to say, oh my God, we got to play a good team. Let's see that folder over there labeled plays that worked? Scrap it. This is what we're going to do. We're going to double down on the plays that didn't work because no one would expect it. And our third-string tight end's a little beat up, so let's just make sure we don't do anything unless everyone's 100% healthy. By going away from what you're good at without Dalvin, even though he's a crucial piece of it, you're making that injury more impactful than it otherwise would be, which is huge. So you're not only limiting everything else. It is just, I don't know why they keep doing the same thing. You could do, whoever makes YouTube videos for the Vikings, and maybe I should do this, it'll be all done on MS Paint, frame by frame. But it's like the tale of two seasons. You can look at all the wins the Vikings had, and then look at the Chiefs game, the Seahawks game, and this game, and you'll see a completely different team. Formationally. It's you could change the jerseys, change the players' names, and you would think they were two different teams. I don't get it. I won't get it because it never works. I get that you have to change things up and not do the expected, but it never works. So you might as well, like I've said this a million times, you might as well lose doing what you do well so you can at least say, you know what, we gave it our best fight. This was not our best fight. This game was a disaster. The amount, I probably can't go on Bleacher Report ever again. I was sticking up for Cousins and saying, you know what? And the thing is that Rodgers did not play great either. So that was my entire point, is he's not the lethal God mode dude that he has been. So everyone pumped the brakes on that in the preseason. Whenever they pick the NFC favorite, they just throw the Packers out there because they're lazy. There's a reason during this game they kept putting stuff up like, Rodgers saying, well, if we're just a tick quicker in tempo, we'd be really dangerous and people don't take us seriously. And there's a reason for that because they're not playing as well as the upper echelon teams. But the Vikings looked like a bottom echelon team. They looked terrible. I mean, this was awful. It was like they were sleepwalking the entire time. And if that's the case, switch something up. I mean, we saw during the Broncos game coming out in a faster tempo. That helped. Do something. It's just was exactly more of the same. Okay, this is what our game plan was. It isn't working. Cousins has been sacked 5 times by the same guy. Let's put somebody over there. Let's put a fullback out there to chip. Let's put Kyle Rudolph even. I mean, he can block better than nothing. It's just they can't win with this coaching staff. They can't. Because it's hard enough to win when your coaching staff isn't holding you back the entire time. I really thought tonight was the barometer. Okay, either they're going to come out and do what they've done well, build on it, or they're going to deviate to the same mistakes from before, and it's going to be a huge thing for me to know not to bet on them in any way. I don't bet money-wise, but credibility-wise in the postseason. I don't care who they play week 1. We're going to lose. It doesn't matter. They're going to have a winning record. It's going to be a nationally televised game. The coaches are going to do spread 4 receivers wide, Cousins out of the shotgun. Like, no heavy personnel, none of it. And now we have all these injuries we have to worry about. Thielen clearly is not Thielen right now. Cook may not be back. It's over. And I'm just saying that to be cute. It's over. I mean, I guess that's good to know, and it's fun to know that we're gonna. I mean, we can start looking at the draft next year, but they can't win with. I refuse, and I'm saying this publicly, so I'll hold myself to it. I refuse to get invested in a team coached by these guys again. I can't, because I think this team potentially should be doing things that it's not doing, and it does them. And then it gets to these big games where you have to make big predictions, and people are asking you what you think, and things get all ramped up during the week, and I just thought for sure they would. I just cannot imagine guys that know football on the level that they do cannot see what they're doing is holding this team back. I don't understand. I'm sure they have an excuse for it that I don't understand, but the bottom line is it is not working. So you just go out doing what you're good at least. As opposed to this crap. I'm saying the same thing over and over again because it boggles my mind. It boggles my mind that this keeps happening. And I get Cook was out, but you don't penalize everyone else and their timing and what has worked by going back to something that hasn't worked because he's out. You can still run play-action plays without Dalvin Cook. You just need a running back. You can still roll it out. On top of it, there's a difference between being aggressive and getting too cute. Again, those third and short double end-around passes to Cousins, the bottom 5 slowest quarterback in the NFL, or the Thielen run, just run the plays that work. What are you doing? Ugh. Double Doink said the team is long. They're not even. That's the sad thing. These guys are all 30 or younger, but they're living by Vikings years, so they're all like 200. It's not because they're too old. They're in their prime. Xavier Rhodes is 29, but he looks 50. There has to be a radon leak in that's like in TCO or something. I don't know what's going on. Pete Rock says we got away from the run, but resting Cook was more important. But you can get away from the run and still run plays external of run plays that worked when Cook was the running back. They didn't do that. Yeah, you have to rest Cook. I'm not arguing that. I'm not saying they should have played Cook and then potentially murdered him and the rest of the season, but they did not run any of the plays. I mean, they did here or there, but it was all the same 3-step drop, light personnel, crap, no screens. You can run screens with Boone. He's done it in the preseason. He's pretty good at it. Again, even doing play-action plays with him, maybe the defense doesn't bite, but Cousins is doing something. The muscle memory's there. The confidence is there. You have Thielen back, so they might actually work better. They didn't do any of it. They just defaulted to the same crap. And then threw in a couple third and short trick plays that didn't work. And then they didn't help Reef at all when he was getting just dominated and sodomized on national television. I don't understand it. I don't get how you get this far in the NFL and you can't say, all right, well, maybe we should, the guy that's got 5 sacks now, maybe we should try to chip him or something? I don't know. Put a tight end over there? You're telling me that this Vikings front four couldn't get Matt Moore on the ground in Kansas City with only 3 of their starting linemen? And this is the best we could dial up tonight? Is one guy gets 5 sacks? It was bad in every single way that it could be bad. There's a movie quote that sounds like that I'm trying to think of. Yeah, I didn't want to get on here and just repeat myself and shout, but Tang is here. He'll know because he's been on every show. They got too cute again. Injuries are piling up on defense because they were out there the entire game, and there's no hope. Santa Claus is not real. What else is there? Yeah, RN. I did. I watched. I hopped on here with 2 minutes left. One of our guys. I have to write game still. So I'll just let you guys go. Tomorrow, I think we should all just sit around and figure out what we're gonna do with our lives. I could turn this into a show about purple furniture. We could find something else we all have in common that we like. I'm literally trying to think of one other hobby that I have, and I just drew a blank. Oh, no. I am fucked. Oh, no. All right, guys. Well, yeah, RN said he lost a lot of bets. Yeah, I forgot about that. If you need a place to lay low, you can. There's a little shelf right here. Yeah, you'll be good. Because I need to hide out from Bleacher Report and other places because even though it's not what I was saying, I know what I'm going to hear. I mean, I don't think they handed us this game. That's the most. That's like I haven't even really talked about that much, but it just makes it. It's like the cherry on top of the shit stew. You don't put cherries on stew, and you don't make them out of shit. They handed us this game. 3 first half turnovers at home. God. And you turn it into 10 points, 26 yards passing. I mean, I just don't get it. Any of it. K. Stroud said, "Ooh, who would be an interesting choice for a new coach?" Gary Kubiak. You need someone, and he wouldn't do it because at least he's saying all the right things and he's happy and it's low stress. But he has had amazing success in a short period of time, a short window. This Vikings team has a very short window, if it has one at all. And if you look at like the 2014 Ravens versus the 2015 Ravens, what he did with that offense with the exact same personnel was astounding. I think you need somebody with an offensive viewpoint and some familiarity who can just take this team over the hump. Zimmer got him this far. I don't think he can get him any further. You could keep George Edwards on, since a lot of people think changing up anything on defense is tantamount to blowing this team up because of all the draft picks and the money and how it's built to win a certain way in Zimmer's system. So keep George Edwards on as a real defensive coordinator. Bring up Kubiak. I would love for that to happen. That would be one thing that would make me think, okay, they can maybe win something here because he has a track record of relative success. I mean, more so as a coordinator than a head coach, but outside of that, it just can, they do have a lot of talent, but it's such a dice roll, and the hot thing right now in the NFL obviously is these young offensive-minded guys and guys like DiFilippo, or a lot of people are saying Stefanski. Stefanski's going to be a horrible head coach. If he can't succeed on a higher level than this when Shermer did more with less. And Shermer struggles. I cannot imagine him being good anywhere. He's too Zimmer. He doesn't make in-game like adjustments, or he doesn't adjust well to adjustments. He's Zimmer on offense. I almost any positive things this season from last season. I've seen a lot of Kubiak in it. The move away from the 11 personnel to the 12, the 13, the 22, that's all Kubiak. And all the positive things they did after the Bears game, that was Kubiak. All the things like tonight, there's a lot of Stefanski on that. So, yeah, I mean, I would go Kubiak right now. I would do it this week if I could. Is that a bet for me, Aaron? Because Aaron said if you think Kirk is bringing us to the promised land, I still don't see any reason not to think that. I don't see other teams with quarterbacks that have the output that he does suddenly switch from every single thing they've done to make them successful in their biggest moments. I don't know. I'm not talking about even last season or anything before that, but he has shown the ability to perform at an elite level. But every single time it's a national game, they seem to completely move away from what he's been good at. Every single one of them. Last 3 losses across the board. So I don't know what to make of Cousins because it's hard to tell because there's no consistency. He does great against bad teams because they play to his strengths against bad teams. And then against great teams, they go into some weird just continuation of what hasn't worked. Just from a formation by formation standpoint. So how do you know what you have in Cousins when you don't let him come out against great opponents and play his game? You don't know if he's good enough to beat them. You just know that he wasn't good enough to beat them at not his game. It's insane. It's going to drive me insane. I mean, if this video isn't testament to my deteriorating mental health, I don't know what is. I don't think his game is zero margin of error at all. I mean, I think you could say that about any quarterback. That's the way there's such a slim margin of error. But if you think tonight was on Cousins, it wasn't. He had no help from the run game, and then they don't run any of the pass plays that have worked for him. I don't know what else you could do. I mean, they didn't even run hardly any screens until if Booger McFarland is calling you out on stuff, that's bad. I mean, that guy doesn't. He was watching a volleyball game for half of it. He wouldn't know the difference. Like, it was just bad play calling, and maybe Cousins isn't the right fit. I don't know. I like what I see from him in the situations where he is being used to his fullest potential. And I'm not saying he needs optimal things to be called certain ways for him to perform well, but when you take a guy out of his element and make him do something that has been proven he's not good at. We knew last year he sucked out of the shotgun. It seemed like he wouldn't because you think he would have extra time, and he crumbles under pressure. In the pocket, but that's not his thing. It does not work for him. So why do they keep going back to it? Why? There's a reason you run the 11 personnel the least amount in the league, and they ran that almost solely tonight. I would guess it was over 70% of the time, which is a lot. So I don't know. I don't have any faith in this team winning because then again I don't know. Say the coaches figure this out, and then we're going up through this battering ram of good NFC teams on the road, doing things that this offense has shown it can do, but we don't know how they do in crunch time in those formations. We don't know how they do on national stages or against great opponents because we haven't done them against them in those situations. So it's just, yes, for those saying, it's good that we rested Cook and blah, 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 we could have done those things and still won this game. The Packers did not come out on fire. They gave us this game. They handed it to us, and we did what we always do from a coaching perspective. And we talk about Cousins this offseason because there's going to be a lot of talk about that. But, I mean, I would put this, again, on the offensive play calling. And I don't even want to be mad at Zimmer anymore because it seems like even the secondary came through. Granted, Rodgers was throwing behind, over. He didn't look good either. I mean, outside of the turnovers, this was a huge gift. And they schemed their way out of it yet again. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Ariane says, well, let's talk about this tomorrow because my girlfriend's going to kill me. And I have to get an article up. But I don't know if he's enough because every time we get a chance to see if he's enough, they put him way out of his element. And this happens, and then we don't know, and then we go back to saying, oh, look how good Cousins does when he does this, but that's against bad teams, sure. But then do it against a good team so we know whether or not he's worth extending, maybe. You have a huge contract situation looming. You don't have anyone to replace him. They should be doing this for other reasons than just this season. I don't understand why there's no logic at all to doing it. There's no positive to it outside of maybe the other team won't expect it. But, of course, they won't expect it because you suck at it. Who does that? Remember that game against a really bad opponent that we should have won and we blew it? In Kansas City? Well, we're going to run it tonight against Seattle, in Seattle. They'll never see it coming this week. Remember those last two games where we should have won those games? We blew them because we weren't running our style of offense. Guess what? We're doing it again. It's a Christmas miracle. All right, guys. I will chat with you tomorrow. RN, I hope you make it because I would love to talk about that more with you specifically. So have a good night, and I hope you get some sort of virtual reality technology